Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, MIL has been pushing a boundary so much I am thinking of faking sick or something to avoid seeing her. Don't know what to do. Dramatic monster-in-law. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. MIL has been pushing a boundary so much I am thinking of faking sick or something to avoid seeing her. Advice definitely needed. I am unsure what to do anymore. I've dealt with my MIL for years on my own different tactics, but recently with the birth of our son in June, my MIL feels unhinged in her behavior. The particular boundary she won't leave alone that I have set, I don't know, 5 times or so, is that I don't want to leave my son alone with anyone at the moment. It definitely has to with her though why I don't want him alone with my in-laws specifically, for many and various reasons. My son is breastfed and I am a brand new and first-time mom. Tonight, we are supposed to go to their house and I cannot deal with another minute of listening to her manipulations about how she is going to get him to stay over. I might actually have a mental breakdown this time. I also don't have any milk supply beyond a bottle or 2 ahead because my son had back-to-back growth spurts and I am behind at the moment. So, I am thinking of faking sick so that only my husband and my son go. This option means my son and husband come home early than if I were to go to keep providing food for my son so we can stay longer. I actually feel bad for that because we are barely seeing them and I want my husband to have a relationship with his parents, despite everything. And they do love my son, they are his grandparents. I don't want to take away people that love him, but I don't want him alone with them, period. The other option is to go, and if I do, I don't even know how to behave like I normally do, which is very guarded. I am so beyond fed up. I even told my husband for one of the first times how crappy she has made me feel. Part of my tactics for years is pretending she doesn't exist in our lives when I am not around her and never bringing her up to my husband. It's worked out well for me personally. We don't fight over her and they continue to have a relationship. My husband told me I don't have to do anything I don't want to do regarding having my son over, so he has my back. I seriously have no idea what to do. I have set the boundary. I have backup. She will continue to persist though, she always does. Update. I have considered every single person's advice and made a decision. Thank you all so much for your help and advice. I have decided to go with my son and husband tonight, but I have made it clear to my husband that he will address his mom tonight if she brings it up. I said to him maybe she takes his words more seriously over me. If so, I don't care, but he needs to address it. If she doesn't stop bringing it up, I want us to go home. My further action steps are that we will not go over there for a long time if she breaks my boundary again tonight and continues after my husband addresses it. In the end, I will prioritize my son over myself, it is just who I am. And people in this post have now made me wonder why exactly she does want him so badly alone and why spending time with all 3 of us isn't what she wants. Final update. We went over. Not a peep about spending the night, at least not to my face. But we are invited to a trip with them for FIL's birthday in September in a mountain town in our state, a few hours away. They are paying for everything too, which does seem nice of them, as we are new parents. Deep sigh. It's never cut and dry with a toxic MIL. My husband and I are going to be discussing going. It would be nice as a break, but it's right before my maternity leave is over too. A paid-for vacation seems like some sort of incentive, but I have handled going on trips with them before and actually managed to enjoy myself. I found peace in some alone time with my husband only during the last vacation we took with them in Moab a few summers ago. Is it totally wrong that I somewhat want to go to an all-expenses-paid vacation and essentially use them to relax before I go back to work? I feel like teenage me could use a little solace for one of the weirdest times of my life. Mentioned in the comments what she did to me at 17 and how I realized then what she was going to be like. Is it petty of me? I feel like it is, but I also feel like I could use a win for all of the mental anguish she has caused over the years, especially lately. It could be a manipulation tactic, sure, but as I mentioned before, my husband has a relationship with them, especially Phil, who I don't feel the same way about. It very well could be just a nice thing to do for us, maybe more so for my husband and my son, but I come along as a package deal so they can buzz off for all I care. Do not let your son go without you. No. 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 If your husband isn't strong enough to have already shut her down, he might come home alone. You and the baby need to stay together. If you do decide to go, wear your baby and don't let anyone hold him. At all. Baby is tired / sleeping / comfortable / etc. I am definitely overthinking this, but one of the reasons I am thinking of staying home alone is to get some extra sleep and to prioritize my mental health. I thought of treating it like alone time. I thought maybe it might be good for me. I would tell her, we already told you we are not having anyone watch him right now. Just because you don't like the answer doesn't mean you can keep pushing it. If you continue, we are gonna leave and when we will be back to visit again. You can leave with or without your husband. I would talk to him beforehand. You can always leave with your son and go somewhere nearby until your husband ready if it is decent or far drive. Add that each time she brings it up, you are going to add 1 year to when you will let him stay with them. Even if she were a wonderful person, which she is not, your son is way too young to spend the night with anyone besides his parents. I think consequences help someone like her to figure out that what you say is what is going to be. Yes, your husband needs to say it and there is no need for arguing or debating about what is said. Every time she brings it up should be the end of the visit. They leave your place or you leave theirs quickly, with few words spoken. She'll get it, maybe. You and baby are a package. Letting take baby there without you is a victory for her. Also, as another poster said, you can bet money she'll have a bottle and formula ready if you don't go. You need to say no to her, firmly. And then you need to make it clear neither of you will entertain any further discussion on the topic. Glad to see that someone else thought of the formula factor. Oh, what a shame OP isn't feeling well. You can still stay the normal amount of time, though, because I ran out and grabbed some formula for LO to drink instead. Your panic and stress comes through so strongly in this post. I am upset for you just reading it. No one can force you to do what you don't want to. Shut down Granny by insisting baby is breastfed and therefore will be going nowhere without his mother for some time. If your husband wants to go and see them, fine, let him, but no way does the baby go without you. He's 2 months old. Your husband sounds as if he's got your back, which must help your confidence. If she is incapable of dropping the sleepover thing, tell her the day your son asks to stay with his grandma for the night, you'll make a date. Sometime around 2026. Glad you're not giving her what is essentially a reward for her bad behavior, getting her son and her grandson together and not the wife/mother. Also very glad you're not giving her the chance to bottle feed your baby when he runs out or she accidentally spills your milk. She wants your 2-month-old to have a sleepover. She is out of her mind. My son is the same age and I can't imagine anyone even asking me this. Mine wanted a sleepover from the time my baby was just 1 week old. Remember, boundaries without consequences are just words. If you think you have consequences, and she has broken them 5+ times, you and so either are not enforcing them or you need much stronger consequences. And that you are the one who maintains your boundaries. A boundary is not, you will no longer ask for this, because you can't change her. A boundary is that you don't give up what you don't want to give up, and maybe you encourage her to change herself. The answer is always going to be no, and the way you're pushing this makes me so uncomfortable that I'm going to cut this visit short and we're all going home now. Don't know what to do. This is the first issue I've had with MIL and I don't know what to do. I've been with DH for 8 years, married 6, and we moved in together when we got married. When we were looking for our first home together, we were pretty limited with our options, first-time buyers who needed to be close to our places of work. Because of this and the fact that DH was moving from his family home, we ended up staying fairly close to his parents and moving into an apartment. Fast forward to now, we're looking for a new home and our circumstances have changed. We're no longer happy in an apartment, we'd like a house with a garden and driveway. While we can afford an apartment in this area, houses are out of our budget. We work from home full-time, so we have no restrictions on where we can move to. Awesome, right? Enter MIL. According to MIL, we can only move to places that she has approved of, we can't move too far away, we have to be near family. But the fact is we can't afford the type/size of home that we need in these pre-approved areas, and she knows this. Of course we'd like to stay where we are, why would we move away if we had the choice to stay? We found a place, a lovely place, that was big enough for us and wasn't far from them or one of the approved areas. After months of looking, all the stress, anxiety, and dashed hopes, I thought we had finally found somewhere and our offer was accepted. She had a fit. How could you do this? We know nothing about that area. You're rushing into it. If you move there, I'll be so hurt. And the next thing I know, DH was saying we're withdrawing our offer. My heart broke, I cried so much, especially when I saw the new properties they had lined up for us to view. One was the exact same distance away from her as the property we had to cancel, only difference was it was in an approved location. It was much smaller, so small we'd have to get rid of half our possessions and then spend a shit ton of money on an extension before we'd be comfortable. How long and how much money would that take? All the other properties in these locations are too small and too expensive, but we have no choice, because if we look outside of these approved areas we'll be deliberately and intentionally choosing to hurt MIL. Wait. Your DH unilaterally decided to pull your accepted offer. How did he manage that without lying, and you're okay with staying with him? I'd also like to know if a deposit was placed. Rescinding an offer after it's been accepted without cause, like a failed inspection, is dangerous in legal terms. Don't sign any paperwork for a new house, don't sign on for the mortgage, nothing. Not until you sort this out. It is not normal that his mother has this much influence on your marriage. Your loyalty should be to each other, your needs and priorities that the two of you have established, not his mother. You have an issue. Stop allowing him to make decisions for both of your lives based on what his mother wants. You both need to grow a spine. He literally just bent to her will and you didn't step in and tell them both no. You are strong than this, OP. Well, obvious to me that the problem here is the fact your husband won't stand up or confront his mother. He was no doubt trained to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if MIL controls DH's siblings and her husband by endless drama when they didn't do what she wanted. So, everyone on this subreddit will tell you to gently give DH a choice. You and your future together as a couple/family or his mother. He doesn't have to choose tonight or by the end of the weekend, but he does have to choose. Yep, he needs to choose. If I were OP, I would put a pause on the house hunting and get into couples counseling. Not worth the stress of her drama and his weak will, on top of the stress of home buying. House hunting stops this instant. You don't move forward until these issues are sorted out in couples therapy. Mil has absolutely no right to tell you where to live. Until your husband can put you before his mother's wants, this isn't a marriage. Please see this as a blessing in disguise. A home is a major purchase and decades of debt. Reevaluate the relationship you have with your DH and why his mother's tantrums are more important than your wishes. You have a husband problem and couples therapy is likely necessary. Pack your husband's shit and send him back to mommy till he remembers who he's married to. I would absolutely refuse any house she approved on principle. I'm sorry OP, I know people on here throw down the D word constantly, but for me personally, this would be a deal breaker for sure. The fact DH withdrew the offer without discussing it with you would do it for me. I would call MIL up and tell her she got her wish, you're shipping him back to her so she can stay close to him, because her interference has destroyed your marriage. I hope she's happy because you will resent her from this day till the end of time. She threw a fit, but are you saying DH backed out without talking to you first? You, his partner? That's the huge issue here, not MIL's feelings. He betrayed your partnership undoing a decision you made together on his own. Therapy. Maybe don't get a house at all until this is solved, actually, that's a pretty big foo. Happy Cake Day. Dramatic monster-in-law. Hey all. I want to share my story about my monster-in-law. Last night was finally the last straw, so I've cut her off. I've been with my husband for 13 years and from day one, she did not approve of me. I don't come from the best family. I was never good enough for her son. The first interaction with her had me in tears as she made me feel like a loser because I have a lot of tattoos and my nose pierced. She has called me an idiot on a few occasions, told me that it was disgusting that I let my toddler son sleep with us, I let my kids run the household, she has critiqued my clothing, etc. Like I can write a book. Last night was the final straw. She's in town visiting and went off on me. Long story short, she told me that I was mean, mad all the time, I treat my husband like shit and she's sick if sitting back and not saying anything. My husband and I have an amazing marriage. I actually can't stress that enough. We often tell each other how lucky we feel. We rarely fight and have a ton of fun together. My mother-in-law drinks a bottle of wine every single day and becomes nasty. I ended up kicking her out of my house and my husband drove her 1.5 hours away to their vacation condo. Fellow MIL sufferers, I'm done. I've decided that I will no longer join in on any trips or events where she is included. If my husband wants to visit her, he can take the kids and I'll stay back. I'll never keep my children from her or expect my husband to end the relationship, but I'm done. I don't deserve to be her punching bag anymore. I feel very confident in my decision and empowered today. Thanks for listening. Edit to add, most of you have made me realize that she will indeed be toxic to the kids as well. I haven't yet took time to think about this as I'm still traumatized from my experience last night. This is definitely going to be a conversation between my husband and I. Also, my husband was there for me and have my back 100%. He put her in the car and drove her to the condo and came home. He's extremely upset with her and did put her in her place. I saw the edit, but I have to add. I really don't think she has that angel on her shoulder telling her to be nice to your kids when she can't even be nice to you. She'll be worse when you're not around. Unless dad follows the kids constantly, you can't be sure of what she will say. Number 1 rule: you want access to my kids, you go through mom. You can't be respectful to me, you sure as hell won't get a chance to do it to my kids. Hello there. Chances are pretty good that she will talk shit about you to and in front of your kids. I would reconsider giving her access to them. This was my first thought too. Why expose children to an alkie who talks shit about their mom behind her back? You know it's gonna happen. If she is a drunk, I would also make sure husband never lets her keep the kids alone. I would not want my kids alone with a drunk. Plus, I would not want her my kids because you know she will be bad-mouthing you every chance she gets. I'm glad you're pulling yourself out of the line of fire and that your husband has your back. I hope you two come to an agreement that if he takes the kids to see her, he packs up and leaves with the first negative word about you that comes from her lips. 4 years old already noticed grandma is mad at you. He and Dee Dee do not need that in their lives. Hugs. Congratulations on dropping the rope. Now just make sure the littles don't get blisters on their hands. Oh good, so you'll offer up your kids to be her punching bag then? I don't mean to sound dramatic and mean, but that's basically what would happen if you send your kids to an abusive alcoholic just because she's their grandmother. Full stop. I'd say husband can have whatever relationship he wants with her, but you and your children are done. Imagine what she'll say to them to get them in her side. You need to protect your own children just as you are protecting your own mental health. No, I 100% agree with you and you aren't being dramatic. She has one chance with them. The second I hear of any abuse, she's gone from their lives too. I wish these words weren't true. They are. I came here after you wrote your update, so I won't comment that she'll probably will trash talk you to your children while you're not around. If she can't respect you to your face, she for sure won't while she's free to make little jabs at you. My mom did this. My SIL is a narc and really horrible, but my mom has some of the tendencies, too. And when my brother brought the kids around, she still had to make that little jabs like, oh, you like that food? Your daddy said you won't eat it if your mom cooked that for you. She just can't help herself. She won't even understand if I told her to not say stuff like that. I came to say that you should have a look at you. There was something about you when you and your husband met that attracted him to that not good enough girl from the not good enough background with that look you had and that tattoos. His mom does not like it. She does not have to. If she wanted him to be with a girl who is more like her, that's some kind of incest, right? So, take a look in the mirror and be sure that he fell in love with you like you were. My mom did something similar. My husband came from not the best family, too. I had a higher education, he didn't. He was the 7th of 8 children of a violent alcoholic father who used to beat his wife and only daughter, never the 7 sons, though. He grew up in a rural, very Catholic part of my country in the 70s, where everyone knew what the father did, but due to this being very Catholic, that's just how the father is. Nobody helped his mom, and she was financially dependent on the father and there were no shelters or possibilities to get away. The father died, driving drunk, what else, when my husband was 13. So, my mom did not exactly approve of that guy I brought home. She of course would never say he was not good enough, it were more sentences like, oh, of course the children were innocent, but, you know, most children of violent abusive alcoholics end up being the same way with their partner, I'm afraid he might do the same. Took her some time to just stop that. I'm stubborn. I went VVVVLC with her during the first years of my marriage, and that's what made her stop, finally. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.